Hello everyone, how are you doing today? We will start the event shortly. Give us a couple of minutes while we let all the attendees in. One more minute and we'll get everything underway. Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar on maximising the potential of Microsoft Teams. Before we get things underway, we'll do a little bit of Teams housekeeping for the event. So all attendees are muted for this event until the Q&A. However, we do want it to be interactive throughout, so please raise your questions, noting your company name, who the question is directed to in the chat panel throughout the event, and our team will then post them and we'll answer them at the end. Please note also that today's event is recorded. A link to the presentation and the event will be passed on at the end. If you have any questions or any issues viewing, please let us know through the Q&A panel as well, and one of our moderators will assist you today. Today I'd like to make acknowledgement of country. We'd like to begin by acknowledging traditional owners of the land which we meet today. The Cloud Collective would also like to pay our respects to the elders past and present. Today's agenda, we have 5 areas: Microsoft Teams, the hub for teamwork, which will be presented by one of our colleagues at Microsoft, Raj. We have another consultant of ours, Pete. He's going to provide some Teams tips. We'll also cover off today's Teams challenges and ultimately how we provide some best practice governance around those challenges. As I said, today's speakers, my name is Janica, a client executive at Tellus Solutions. I have Peter Vincent also joining us today. He's a senior consultant at Tellus, and Raj, who is a partner technologist architect from Microsoft. Before we kick things off, a little bit about Tellus Solutions. We have 3 key practices. We are a Microsoft Gold partner. We have specialists in the modern workplace, data and AI, and also application development. And Tellus has been around for 15 years. We're a Microsoft managed and Gold partner. We have a lot of intellectual property that we've built over the last 15 years that are easily deployable to our customers. We're also strategically aligned to Microsoft through our 3 key practices. And Tellus is also part of the Cloud Collective. The Cloud Collective is an alliance of 3 Microsoft leading Gold partners, providing complementary skill sets to cover the depth and breadth of the Microsoft technology stack. As you can see here, the 3 alliance partners is Antares, ICOM, and Quorum. So between the 3 organisations, we're able to cover off the entire breadth of the Microsoft 365 platform. I'd like to now introduce you to Raj, who'll give you some insight into Microsoft Teams and how Teams is being used across different industries and what they're seeing from the Microsoft perspective.
Thank you so much, Janica. Good morning, everyone. So let's delve a little bit into Microsoft Teams and basically the vast array of capabilities and opportunities it brings for organizations today, really for collaboration and productivity. Sorry, the slides. Yeah. So basically, we know that in order to truly transform an organization and drive value generation, one of the key steps is to enhance workplace collaboration. And you're already spending, 80% of your time collaborating on a normal workday. And this has, led to 59% of managers and people around the organization really saying that they're missing out on key communication and updates due to this information overload. So this, in fact, makes, workplace collaboration as one of the top 3 challenges, as stated by 39% of the leaders. So what this is really telling us is that the problem is no longer about what tool is best to use, but how we really communicate and collaborate in a single experience. So our solution, of course, is Microsoft Teams, which is, the hub for teamwork in Microsoft 365. And Teams is really a versatile chat-based workspace. And, it's like in one integrated place for all the needs our modern teams have today. And it really delivers on core for, promises to create a digital workspace for high-performing collaborative teams. So what that means is that you can communicate through chat, meetings, and calls. You can collaborate with deeply integrated Office 365 apps because Teams brings all the Office 365 services together. So we have that deep integration. And then this results really in you not having to jump between and spending time in disparate experiences because you want to have one seamless integrated experience. And you can also then mainly customize and extend Teams with, tabs, connectors, and bots to include those apps and services you need. So really, we have the extensibility and the integration opportunities there. And first of all, you can do all of this is, with a lot of confidence because we have that enterprise level security and governance. So with increasing demand and value that the platform is continuing to showcase, we see that there is significant customer momentum as now more than 115 million daily active users are using Teams. So we've seen this increasing growth and the demand is immense, especially as, we're seeing 93% of the Fortune 500 companies are using Teams today across our global markets. And we have, more than 650,000 organizations with an average 10K active user base. So this really comes to show how the platform is growing and how we're really trying to cater for a diverse audience around the globe, whether the services we provide or the languages we support, and really just how we're really expanding throughout the markets. So if you think about it now, what does Teams bring as the opportunity? So in April 2020 last year, especially after the pandemic hit, we saw that the remote workforce grew to nearly half of all the workers. And 98% of them actually said that, they wanted to have the option to work from home for the rest of their careers. So with growing number of teams, increasing number of users using social tools at work, and especially with the situation that the pandemic has brought for us, it's no surprise that 72% of people are already working remotely, and this will actually continue to grow even after a hybrid workplace. So you can see that Teams really brings a real opportunity to transform the way people work by collaborating to enhance their productivity and really cater to a diverse team-based modern workplace. So really, what is it? What is that we now come to realize? So productivity isn't just about the tool, but it's actually about the approach. And while Teams is amazing, if we don't actually take the proper approach, it can also become a part of a bigger problem. So we really leverage Teams beyond using it as a tool to have our chats and meetings, but we must use it in a way that's not just efficient and easy to collaborate on, but also extremely secure and compliant. And we really then come back full circle. The approach is really delivering innovation and value through an integrated experience and a single user interface. Users can collaborate, communicate, and access their apps and integrations within Teams without really switching context. So you can stay in the flow of your work and create conversations around that content. So if you think about it, why do you want to get started with Teams right now and right today? Then it's really simple and boils down to 3 main things. You can outreach to a broader audience. So, you're reaching customers who spend a significant portion of their workday in productivity tools. So you're really building that massive connection for, 180 million Office 365 monthly users. then you're going to be able to leverage product innovation because you're using the infrastructure of Microsoft 365 to improve your entire experience. And of course, this comes with the security and compliance foundation, governance support, and so much more. So you're able to really start fast and take advantage of Microsoft's industry investments in sectors like education, healthcare, retail, and so on. And most importantly, you can increase momentum because you're harnessing the fastest growing business app in Microsoft's history. So now let's think about it in a different angle as well, because Teams isn't just about meetings and chats and calling, but it's actually, we talk about Teams as a platform as well. So we're really talking about the apps and integrations and the experience you bring for your end users. So Teams is in fact an incredibly extensible platform. So it enables you to build apps and to integrate with different business processes. And it comes together in 3 different ways. So the first is ready-to-use apps, so basically first-party apps that Microsoft has built, and then all the other apps and services you need pretty much every day to get your job done. So whether or not that's Microsoft, but our incredible partners like Intellisense, have built incredible apps, and that's available through the Teams App Store. And we have more than 500 partner applications and integrations available, and it's just keep continuously growing as we see more innovation. So this really makes up 2 of our ready-to-use applications. And then the really interesting bit is also the custom apps that you can build. And more recently, we've had the addition of the Power Platform capability in Teams. So basically, you're able to natively build low-code and no-code apps within Teams. So if you think about, the different ways for you to really use Teams when it comes to enhancing your collaboration and productivity throughout the day. It could be as simple as, possible, or it could be, multifaceted and could be as complex as you want it to be. But the end goal is to actually get your people in your organization to work better together and to collaborate and actually, leverage this social collaboration platform. So whether it's quickly accessing information at the right time, or if it's having a discussion and deciding on actions for important things after your meetings, it's all really possible in one place with a few clicks away. So you're really, able to collaborate on items in external systems. You're able to trigger workflows from conversations. You're about to, basically say, notify your team about important events or actions or reminders. You can have conversations with bots. You can, basically share content, share files, and document management. And there's a lot more that goes into this. So you can really embed functionality and have that from different sites and services and apps. So that makes the platform even more extensible. And now the question is, what do you want to really do to enable today for your organization? So we've seen that, in 4 key areas that we found Teams really delivers value for our customers. So firstly, it's empowering of employees, which is done by self-service, efficient searching and sharing of information, gauging employee engagement, and a lot of those, core learning and development opportunities. Next, we see that engaging with customers really includes, enabling those timely feedback loops, providing customer support, measuring, sales productivity, and so much more. And in the context of optimizing operations, Teams really allows for effective, execution of business processes, delivery management, live tracking of products and services, and more. And finally, Teams really transforms products along with your workforce. So, ranging from project management to engineering workflows through to managing service incidents and design collaboration. So you can really see how you can bring your own scenario and really customize it and, make it all happen in Teams. So as we continue to see, greater customer success, some of the key outcomes that have been prevalent have been, increased business agility and centralized information. And this is, of course, possible due to the integrated experience that we have, within Teams, because it's bringing the right information at the right time for the right teams. So this has been, a very positive cascading effect with customers, especially now that they're able to automate processes and get their work done more efficiently and faster. They're able to, obviously save time and costs. So with more time in hand, you can really focus on high value work to then analyze and digitize what matters most to organizations today. So as as a few examples of some of our customers, Unilever has said that what's really transformative is the way that they're now able to connect people on teams, making data accessible to a broader employee base, which then gives them the skills to make better informed decisions. And an obvious benefit, of course, is increasing efficiency. And in regards to Tacoma Public Schools, they've been able to visualize how well their students are reading and putting their capabilities from Power Apps and Power BI in Teams. And this has made it very easy for non-technical teachers to find and use the solutions among students. So even better, these tools really help our educators get creative, think outside the box, and provide solutions for others. So that makes the experience even more energizing. So in regards to, what's upcoming, new and exciting for Microsoft, recently we announced the launch of Microsoft Viva, which is actually the first employee experience platform built for digital era. So Viva really brings together communications, knowledge, learning, resources, and insights into an integrated experience that really empowers people and teams to be their best from anywhere. So it's powered by the full breadth and depth of Microsoft 365 and is available through Microsoft Teams and our other Microsoft 365 apps that people use every day. So it will really include 4 key modules. So Viva Connections, which is actually going to help you amplify culture and communications. Then we have Viva Insights, which is then going to help you balance productivity and well-being, really. And then we've got Viva Topics. So that's going to be able to help you harness knowledge and expertise. And finally, Viva Learning, which is going to help you in accelerating skilling and growth. So our focus with the launch is really to share Microsoft's vision for employee experience, as these will be available to develop new practices amongst our partners and customers. So the immediate opportunities for our partners and customers to actually build those practices are with knowledge and insights currently, and with additional opportunities around connections and Viva Learning will be coming later on, later on in the year. So that's basically, just to give you a taste of some of the incredible, opportunities and capabilities of Microsoft Teams and how it's really helping our partners and customers leverage the platform to, help their organizations work better. So with that, thank you, everyone, and I'd like to pass it back to Janika.
Thank you, Raj. Really appreciate the insight and the knowledge you've shared. If you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A and we can circle back to Raj later on. I'd like to now introduce you to Peter, a senior consultant here at Antares, who's going to walk you through some Microsoft Teams tips. As we use Teams almost daily, and as Raj highlighted, 115 million daily active users, it's important to know how to best use the platform. So Pete's going to share some things that may be of interest.
Thanks, Janika. Hi, everyone. I'd like to take you through a brief overview of Teams and some common ways in which you can get the most out of it. Whether you're new to Teams or you've been using it for some time, there'll be something for you in the next few slides. At its core, Teams takes us out of our inbox, which is an inherently personal space, and takes us into a collaborative space. All the applications that we used to use in isolation, copying and pasting information back and forth from one to the other, are now neatly wrapped up by Teams. Teams gives us that single interface that brings together all the tools that we need to get our job done. After being involved in several IT projects to do with Teams across a few different platforms, some of the early adoption questions that I've come across are addressed in the following points. Set your status message so other people know what you're up to. Use app mentions for faster public responses. Subscribe to channels that you frequent the most, so you can get notifications for when things are added. Post in channels first. Use private chat second. This is something I see a lot of. Share your screen and not an application. And check if the team already exists before going to create one. So let's see some of these in action. Your status message will change automatically if you're in a meeting, you're presenting, or if you've walked away from your PC for a while. However, it's good practice to set this yourself to give people a more accurate indication of your time. There's an optional duration here, which you might make use of if you're going to a long lunch and you know you're not going to be available for the next hour. Set a status message like this. The status message is just like the out of office notice in Outlook. There's also an optional duration here for this. But be sure to click this button, tick this box, so people are shown a message when they try and contact you. When posting a message, how can you make sure that it's going to be seen? Here's a few ways to make a post a little bit more noticeable. Over here on the right side, you can use the important button. You could change your post to an announcement. Mention people, teams, or channels. Post to other channels. And even add a background to your post. Something I see a lot during meetings is an application is shared rather than the screen. This might be intentional to avoid a messy desktop. However, as the presenter, it's not immediately obvious that your audience can only see one window, should you need to refer to a different application. For those of you with a touch-enabled device, the whiteboard is a must-have tool, given we're rarely in the same place these days. Use the full screen mode when someone else is presenting to get a closer look at what's being shown on the screen. While we're talking about whiteboards, you can add a whiteboard to a channel. This will give your team a permanent space to make notes that won't get cleaned by the cleaners at the end of the week. Using the settings menu on the side, you can limit who has access to make changes to this, so you may be the only one you want making changes. And this option is also available in meetings when using the whiteboard. How to save emails and their attachments is probably the most common question I get asked. Fortunately, we now have the ability to drag straight from your inbox into Teams and SharePoint, whether that's an attachment or an entire email with attachments. For Teams Mobile, here's 2 little tips that will keep you focused while you're at work and help you relax when you're not. Up here in the menu, we can change the notification settings. 2 that I'd highly recommend are turning off notifications when you're active on your PC. No one needs a second set of notifications. And secondly, set up quiet hours to make sure that your dinner doesn't get interrupted by rogue posts late at night. For all of those laptop users out there, you find yourself scrolling up and down constantly, try zooming out to give yourself a little bit more space. This works in the application and also in the browser. Finally, if you're writing a post in Teams and you need to refer to a different document, rather than navigate away from your post and then track back, open up the browser to give yourself a second window for Teams. Personal chats can also be popped out into their own floating window, like this. All right, that was my quick tips. Back to you, Janica.
Thank you, Pete. I hope everyone found that insightful. Again, any questions you may have for Pete, feel free to direct them through the Q&A. Now I'd like to change gears a little bit and talk about some of the Teams challenges that we see. While Pete and Raj highlighted the breadth and capability of the Teams platform, ultimately we do see some common challenges that we hear from our customers. So these are the most common challenges we see today with our customers that are leveraging Microsoft Teams. We see 6 of them, so let's deep dive into these challenges. Sprawl and duplication. Microsoft Teams is your central hub for collaboration and teamwork. We want users to collaborate freely on Microsoft Teams that will allow them to be their most productive. But as a business, we want to find the balance between freedom and control. What we're hearing from customers is that there are a lot of duplicate teams, a lot of multiple sources of truth, multiple storage locations. So how do we actually provide some structure around how to control that sprawl and duplication of Microsoft Teams? Security and compliance. The world has drastically changed over the last few months. And as we shift to more cloud-based services, leveraging platforms like Microsoft Teams, sharing information freely, how do we ensure that we can communicate and collaborate safely and make sure that our data is secure? The most important thing is ensuring that our data is compliant to organisational policies. So all that information that has been created within Teams, how do we make sure that it's compliant? How do we ensure that our data is protected when it goes outside of the organisation? How do we apply the right sensitivity and classifications to that information? And how do we easily see who has access to what information as well? What tools to use when? Today, more than ever, there's a greater choice of tools to do our work. So how do you decide what the right tool is? It's near impossible for us to expect that our users will know everything about every tool. So how do we make it easier for them to pick the right tool for the right purpose to do their job? No approvals and standardization of provisioning. IT can be complex. So how do we simplify the process? Currently at the moment, out of the box, there's only 2 ways to create teams. You're either all in and allow users to create teams freely, or you lock it down completely and where you're creating a barrier to leveraging teams. So how do we ensure that we can build a process that is going to provide us a standardized way of provisioning teams, keep this existing structure, at the same time, allow us to provide the right governance and structure for those teams and provide the tools required to do our job. Easy management of teams. Is there a central location and a simplified way to manage the entire lifecycle of teams? How do I know teams are still being used? How do I know what information is shared? How do I know when to delete, archive, or dispose of teams? So how do I manage that entire lifecycle? And lastly, change management and adoption and training. With all the changes in technology that's happening at such a rapid pace, how do you keep up? How do we make sure that all of our team are up to date with the latest applications, new processes to be the most productive? Microsoft are releasing updates on Teams and Office 365 every month. So how do we make it easy for users to access the latest features without having them to be in training constantly? So how do we solve these challenges? I want to introduce you to Tellus. Tellus is a solution that Antares has built that is created to help solve these common challenges. Tellus is essentially collaboration with the guardrails up. It's your answer to Microsoft Teams governance, your central hub for creating, managing, and governing teams. That's most importantly integrated into the fabric of your Teams app. We're not asking a user to go somewhere else. It's built right into the team, addressing that change and adoption piece. So what is Tellus? Tellus provides a templatized approach that takes users through a wizard-style approach that asks them about the problem that they're trying to solve. This is a more natural process of Teams creation. that's allowing them to get to do their work sooner. Tellus has 4 unique templates that have been engineered to meet the most common collaboration use cases. All the teams, the channels, the security are all set up for your staff on approval. This takes the guesswork and the confusion out of what tools to use when. Tellus will also apply the right level of security and leverage the Office 365 sensitivity labels to ensure that all the teams and information are protected. An example of this might be you apply a confidential tag. That will then ensure that all the information and content living within that team that's being created is not allowed to be externally shared. So we can start to leverage the available features through the Microsoft stack to actually protect our information. Tellus provides a simple centralized dashboard for the day-to-day management of teams. Staff will be able to see not only the teams, but also all teams accessible within the organisation. Security permitting, they'll be able to search for all the teams, edit the teams, archive or delete teams, driving that team's lifecycle. Tellus works in parallel with Teams. It won't replace it, it'll complement it. It'll provide you that powerful tool to actually allow you to provide structure and governance around your Teams application. What's next? Ultimately, if you want to find out more, download our Tellus white paper. It'll allow you to get insight into what Tellus can be done and how it might fit within your organisation. Book a consultation with one of our team. Ultimately, having Teams deployed already, how can you take Teams to the next level? How can you build custom apps that Raj talked about that are more specific to your business processes? Things like bots, using the Power Platform, how can you leverage Teams to take it to the next level? Ultimately, if you want to learn more, understand how Tellus can fit with the organisation, book a demo. We can show you how Tellus might work. Any questions? Yeah, 1 second, let me just check the queue.
Janica, there was a question there about transcriptions in meetings.
Yep.
Whether or not we can turn that on. So transcript, you can have live captions turned on for a meeting, but if you'd like to refer to it later, you need to record the meeting. It's saved in stream. So the transcription will be available and searchable once the recording has been finished processing in the stream.
There's another one. There's another question here. Can you please comment on whether we are going to see features like augmented information about the users on video call, for example, using facial recognition, volume, tone, judging their emotion, interest levels. There can be information put about each user on a video call. Do we have any plugin for those?
At the moment, you can react. So you can either raise your hand, thumbs up, or have a heart emoticon during a meeting as a way of expressing your state of mind.
Can a meeting have 2 organisers to manage the meeting options?
You can't have two organisers, but you can assign people as attendees or presenters. So the presenters would have access to the meeting settings, whether or not everyone's kept in the lobby to begin with, or whether the chat, the text-based chat, is enabled before the meeting is started by the presenter or the organiser.
Cool. There's a question for you, Raj. Microsoft has got no code for Teams. However, in Teams of Audibility, how useful is it? It is definitely great for a quick information reviews and approvals. How can we leverage the approvals for formal approvals, which can be tracked and audited in the long term?
Yeah. Hi, Norshin. So basically, we've recently got with Project Oakdale, we've got Power Platform for Teams or Dataverse for Teams. So that has basically got, capabilities for you to be able to natively build those low-code, no-code applications and, business processes, flows, bots, and so on from within Teams by leveraging Power Platform. So that is something. So in terms of auditability, basically using different versions of how you're going to manage the governance around your apps and basically the maintenance. So we look at things like solution components and basically, how you're going to be able to review what you build, maintain and all of basically the life cycle of your solution, right? So can we leverage the approvals for formal approvals, which can be tracked and audited in the long term? Yes. You should be able to basically, audit and keep track of what you're governing in terms of your solutions, especially if you're doing it from within Teams, or even if it's a Power Platform standalone solution that you then choose to integrate into Teams.
Perfect. Thank you, Raj. Question from Sarah. Do you have an example of clients introducing Tellus into the ecosystem? What was the biggest benefit to their organization? We have several clients introducing Tellus into their ecosystem. More than happy to share those examples with you offline. Ultimately, the biggest benefit that they've seen is the ability to provide almost that approval process around managing teams, right? Almost that gatekeeper that's going to allow them to feel confident that they're applying the right governance and structure to all their teams. An example of this is one of their templates is focused around project management. So they're able to leverage the project template to run all their projects. All the appropriate assets within Office 365 and Teams are provisioned, allowing us to control the document lifecycle for the project. Also leverage things like the planner board to manage tasks within that project. A place to have meetings about the project as well, raise risks. So it gives them almost that encompassing area to run a project. So that's probably been the biggest benefit for organisations in this one. Sarah as well, is there a way to browse Teams rather than being invited to a team? My company moving away from Workplace and Yammer for collaboration and interested to know if we can use Teams for this purpose.
Yes, you can browse teams that you're not part of. So if those are public teams, you can go and search for them. If you're using Tellus, you'll have a deeper listing or a grasp on what teams are available, what business use they or business group they're used by, and the ability to, as Janica said before, apply for new teams to be created through the approval process.
So through that Telus dashboard as well, there is that view, as Pete touched on, all the metadata through that wizard style will be applied to that team. So within that dashboard, you'll be able to see who the owner is, who are the members, is it active or inactive, so I can give you that information that's not available to you out of the box. Question from Candice, do you have any archive conversations that are no longer relevant to Teams? I think, Raj, you provided some information through some Microsoft documentation. Raj, did you want to potentially just comment on that as well?
Yep, sure. So hi, Candice. Basically, you can, archive or delete Teams, and you can do that through various methods. So you can do that through the Microsoft Admin Center. Basically, you can go select the team, click the team name, and then archive. It's as simple as that. So, a few clicks. And you can also basically make an archive team active if you choose to sort of, revive that conversation later on. And you can also delete and restore the teams.
Thank you, Raj. And you can also do that through Tellus as well. So Tellus will give you that insight to be able to archive teams and all the content associated with that team as well, and also restore it too. So, and that's done through the dashboard security permitting. So as Raj said, that typically is only being able to be done through the Teams Admin Center. So again, providing that nice interface way to do it. Another question here, what does Tellus offer out of the box? Teams licensing does not. There's a number of different features that Tellus offers out of the box, the templatized versions or approach that we have as well. So the ability to provision teams with all the associated assets out of the box associated to that individual template is what Tellus can do. That's something you can't do as well. At the moment, as I touched on, the view of archiving or editing teams, it gives that centralized dashboard to do that too. At the moment, that's done only through the admin center, requiring admin to do so. But there's a whole range of features that we have that I'm happy to share with you as well if you'd like to know. Another question, can you restrict the meeting links to active only during meetings, otherwise show messages about schedules, the meeting, etc. Meeting starts at X time?
What's the question?
What's happened here? Sorry. Can you restrict the meeting link to active only during the meeting? I'll show.
Right, I think this comes back to having a meeting organizer or presenter and locking down the settings beforehand so that people can't communicate or leave the lobby before the presenter or the owner lets people in or starts the meeting.
Cool, thank you, Pete. Another question from Sarah, what are the future plans for Tellus? What's on the product roadmap? So Tellus is managed by the entire product team that is constantly taking feedback from customers to understand how it can better improve the product. Some of the things that are coming out is the ability to create your own templates as well. So at the moment, there are 4 templates that are suited to most collaboration requirements, but ultimately we want to be able to provide that experience to customers to create their own templates to provision different services within the Office 365 space. So that's coming. Also, something that we're probably really excited about is the team's health rating, the ability to have insights into how the team is performing itself. Is it active? What the participation is like? Are there any security gaps or risks as well based on the content that is being shared externally? So it will give you that traffic light rating around green, amber and red based on that team's health rating. So that's something we're really excited about. Another question from Simran. Can you please give me some insight into how actively Teams is going to be supported on the Linux? At the moment, it seems to lack some stability in numerous features. Raj, do you have any insight into that?
Yep, sure. Hi, Simran. So basically, right now we've got a few improvements in the roadmap regarding that. So we are actively working on Teams for Linux, and basically, in terms of installation and a lot of things, we are going to be supporting a broader range. But definitely, we are definitely working on that.
Perfect. Norsheen again, can we templatize the folder structure on the Teams using Tellus? Yes, you can. Ultimately, as part of the template and also as part of the features that will be rolling out, you'll be able to create your own templates and folder structure as part of the services being delivered. Within Tellus, only expose teams created through Tellus or being existing teams prior to Tellus deployed? It's a good question. Ultimately, yes, we can export the teams that are already created and leverage it through the Tellus dashboard, providing the information that we capture from when you create a team through Tellus. Then be able to provide the insight through the dashboard as well. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your time today and for the questions you provided. As I said, please feel free to get in touch with myself, Peter or Raj if you have any further questions or would like to learn more about the products and talking points we talked about today. Thank you.